So next up on our list here, we've got our player relations team, and just player relations in general here. So uh, player relations is a team that we have at FA comprised of some various players, and also including our plot manager, he's part on that, and also us owners. We're actually considered basically just another member of the team with some, necessary things being owners. What we do is we help if there are issues between players to sort of figure out any problems that are going on there and help sort of continue to create the whole like welcoming and safe and friendly atmosphere we want in the game. One of our greatest goals with Fantasy Live is to create a community where everyone can come in, can have a good time, can play around, and just enjoy everyone who's there, and then and go home happy and not have any issues. We want to make what amounts to a great escape from whatever else might be going on in your life, and just have a great place for everyone to be. And that's something that we work on pretty much all the time. And everything we do, this is something that we need to consider as part of every aspect that we do in FA. So we did a whole presentation on player relations, the whole idea of player relations, how we work, other things you do, all those kind of things already. Yeah, you can just look that one up. It should be up on the Facebook group, but there's a YouTube channel once we have this all set up. So look out for that if you'd like to go into like very detailed information about how all that works. For now, there's just a couple things that we want to say outright. And one of them is like, if there is an issue at Fantasy Live, something going on that is making you uncomfortable or is causing you distress, or something, anything really that is, as a player, you are having trouble with, our doors are open. What we like to say is we're ready anytime. We are available anytime for you to come and help us. So during these times right now, we have an email address. You can send us anything to there, and we will gladly answer it as soon as we can. It's the player relations at Fantasy Live. Look it up. I don't remember it immediately. I should have looked that up earlier. I'm good like that. But we also are just like messages away through Facebook Messenger or anything else you can find to contact us with. And then at games, if you can't find a player relations team member that's available, you should always know that we owners, myself and Doug, are always available. Doug is always around the tavern area. I generally stay around the plot team area. So if you're casting and you need help, I will be there. If you're PCing and need help, you're pretty much always around one of us. So just pull us aside. We really care about that aspect of it, especially much more than anything else. Like the plot is fantastic. The game is great. We'd like to have everybody having fun. But if you're not having fun, we will take the time out of our game to come and help you. That's one of our major jobs, and that's what we're always available for. I know we've had people worried about even things like waking us up in the middle of the night if there's a problem, and we'll tell you outright, just do it. We would very much rather you knock on our door and wake us up than sit for hours because there's a problem and dwell on it, right? Like we want these things to get worked on, and we have no problem getting up in the middle of the night to help have it happen. Okay.
Yeah, that's happened tons of times before, and it's never a bad thing because
Yeah.
I'd rather you guys deal with it right away.
Mhm.
And it sounds like the player relations teams have been around for a long time and it's been done and they've been doing good. But do you have any like ongoing projects or things coming up in the future?
Oh yeah. So I mean, we've had the player relations team now for a few years. It's been a fairly small team, and only more recently we've added a few members to it. Again, all that detail in the other video, so feel free to watch that. Um, but from since that time we ran that video, we've been getting together and trying to come up with all different things that we can do to kind of improve on FA and make sure it's that much more a safe and friendly community. And so we have a couple things on the docket that we're working on here. One of them is the procedures that we run through. So a lot of the things we've done in Fantasy Live, we've kind of developed over time, but not necessarily like written down so that it's a easily transferable information to other people. So like Doug and I have a lot of things that we have talked about and said, okay, this is how we do our things, that this is what we do. And we've done the same thing for player relations. We've talked to them and said, okay, well, when these kind of things happen, this is what we do. But there's a lot of things that, just the general idea of like how we handle issues, how we talk to people, how we go about things. These kind of things, like we've kind of just managed, but we've never actually like set down what we want to do for that. So that's a big one that we're going to put out there. The player relations manual that we've already put up has some of that information there, but we're hoping to go through and make a bit more clear on like the different things that we do for different actions and things like that, just so that it's very clear for everybody involved what to expect when or if something comes up. So there's that one. Another big one is the code of conduct. We have this, and we've had it for basically since the player relations team was first developed. We built up the code of conduct at that point, and it is the rules and guidelines for how to be a player with an FA, the expectations we have of you, and just basically things like don't be mean, don't bully people, don't break laws, that kind of thing.
I hear that there's also something coming up, some sort of a survey or something you're thinking about.
Oh yeah, so that's another one there. So one of the suggestions we had from the player relations team to try and get a better idea of how the players as a whole are within the community are handling everything, what sort of opinions they have on things, what sort of things we can also do better. That's something that we got suggested to us, and we think it's a good idea. But one of the things we want to do is make sure that if we're putting out a survey, we have and the whatever information we get back can be both useful information and also actionable information. So we have something that we get information back and we say, okay, well, 95% of the people say that this is a bad aspect of FA. We should fix that. And here is how we can fix that. That's what we're kind of developing at this point. We want to not just put it out there, get information back, and then flounder as to what we can do about it. We want to make sure that there's something available for us to actually perform on all those. So that's another one that is in development right now. We're hoping to have that out as soon as we can. It will depend on a lot of people's work schedules, because this is all a very side project for a lot of people who have real lives still to deal with too. So we're working on it though. So we're hoping to have that one out there. Yeah, so another one is as we all knew, at the beginning of all of this COVID thing, and there was also a very big push towards movements like Black Lives Matter and showing off some of the inequality in our societies and things that were going on. And it's things that, unfortunately, the genre of fantasy has a lot of those kind of aspects just unintentionally built into it. And these are things that we've had brought to light to ourselves that we, in a lot of cases, didn't even realize. And as we talk to more people and work with our player relations team, a lot of these things are coming to light, and we're realizing there's a lot of things that really need fixing. And so one of them that we've gotten brought up to us, and we plan, and we actually have finished at this point, and should be out shortly. If it's not out by the time the video is dropped, then I'd be surprised, is some of the aspects of the racial makeup and costuming requirements. So for some of the races, we have already gone through and removed the bestial aspect from the rulebook, as well as slavery as an option for PCs and other things like that. Because we realize that that's very detrimental to those people who might be dealing with those kind of issues in real life. We want to make the game welcoming to them, and those kind of things are not welcoming. And we now understand that, and we're really hoping that we can continue to improve ourselves in these ways. So right now we've looked at the racial ideas of each one, and one of the things that we've got finished at this point, I believe, is the racial write-ups in the book. So the write-ups for each one of the races in there, we have gone through with this new lens and looked at each aspect of it and gone, okay, what things are troublesome and what things should we remove, what things should we change to make the race one more interesting, like less two-dimensional idea, give it some more aspects to it, give it a broader idea of how the races work, as well as taking away some of the aspects that are just not good for the whole racial inequality idea. So one of the things that we are planning to change with Fantasy Live is the racial makeup and costuming ideas. So we're doing our best to remove the ideas of like blackface and brownface entirely from the rule book and from aspects of FA entirely, so that those are not, because we understand those are racially charged, and we want to make sure that that is not something that is brought up in the game itself. So for Deschun, we've been working on their colors over time. They're currently at a gray. We decided to instead change it to a light blue or light purple. Either one is an option at this point, just to try and get that break away from those ideas of things that are a bit more troublesome. And also through their write-up, we're trying to remove this idea that because they are underground, they are therefore evil. We're basically, from all of them, we're trying to make them a culture rather than a stereotype. And that's a big one from that one there. The other one that we need to definitely work on is Minotaurs. And that is like their racial costuming and makeup is fur generally, or makeup to look like fur, and horns. And there is a very obvious chance for those ones to be like, okay, well, my makeup will be one color of paint and horns. And that ends up not looking great. And so we've decided that's one of the things that we're going to make sure to put explicitly in the rule book, is that solid color paint for Minotaurs is just not an option. You need to make it look either more cow-like or wear fur instead, one or the other. So that's just a requirement and all that. And the lead into that as well is that we can do this now because we have enough time for everyone to kind of gather their makeup and make sure that it all works. So we're trying to implement that as soon as the rulebook comes out. And even before that, we're going to make sure everybody understands that that's there. That might be out already. I'm not sure exactly our posting schedule for our official documents and for this video yet. So we'll see which one comes first. Yeah.
Also, the player relations team, are you thinking about doing anything with maybe some training or anything?
So yeah, training is one of those things that we wanted to do for our player relations team, because a lot of them come from different backgrounds and different educations, different experiences. And one of the things that we've noticed is that there are a lot of options out there for training for things like conflict resolution, or like empathy training, or other things like this. And a bunch of these ones we don't even know about. We're not ourselves trained in any of these kind of things specifically. And while we've had experience and our own efforts to do these kind of things and learn on our own for these kind of things as we've gone along, it's definitely not something that Doug or I are already good at. We have never been trained on these kind of things. So we understand our own limitations, and it's something that we would like to also improve ourselves with, because this is something that we do for our jobs here. And we'd like to also offer that to all of the player relations team. So we are talking with them and finding out different resources here and there for different things that could work. And basically trying to improve all of them so that they can then help out the game and hopefully help out in their own lives and everything else that they do. So if there's anyone out there that has any suggestions for things that could work to help us out with training for these things, especially in our current online atmosphere, if there's online courses that could help, please let us know. We'd like to know, and we'd like to see what we can do to help out everybody here. So. Okay, and I think that covers everything for player relations at this point.
I think so.
Think so? All right. Yeah. Well, if there's anything else, let us know, or watch the previous more in-depth video on it all, and you might see your question answered there too. So there you go. All right.